All right, now you know that I love winter. If there's anything I love more than winter, it's the season that comes after winter. Mud season, you know? What's more fun than having to work through standing water, mud, soft ground, and, you know, all of that. And that is the cause of today's story, which is this sadness. And I'm going to tell you about it right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man, and we got issues, friends. My beloved John Deere here took a dump the other day, and I believe that I still don't know how it happened, and it kind of looks to me like maybe some of this was cracked longer than others, and it's very sad. The loader has also settled on the ground, which tells me that these are probably totally shot now, and we need to rebuild them. We had some drifting off issues when we were unloading tractor carcasses, but now sitting in the shed, they've totally hit the dirt, which I think is what caused my bucket problem. What happened was I was driving along chasing a cow, and somehow all at once I had the bucket tilted down because I thought if I hit a cow by accident, I don't want to spear the cow through the side, so I had the bucket tilted. Well, apparently the boom drifted down enough that I hooked the ground. And when I hooked the ground, lots of sadness happened. It popped that and broke the cast bracket. It actually broke. These were welded to the round tube and mounted that cast bracket, and it sheared both of those off. Doesn't look like they were expertly welded on there anyway, so that's not, you know, the end of the world. But it sheared off all of those pieces. The other one is still hanging on with bolts in the front, but it broke the 2 bolts in this one as it sheared that off. And we just got a lot of trouble, friends. And I'm surprised that it didn't break the cylinder rod, because that cylinder rod is known to break. We've broke it before and it's been welded. And that didn't happen this time. It was, I don't know, very strange how life works. So we're going to have to totally take it apart. Oh, because it also broke the tube that it's mounted on. It's cracked. So we got to strip all that off of there and start with the tube, fix it up, weld the plates back on, fix it up, try to fix our cast bracket because that's probably non-existent. I put out some word for a 37 loader and nobody's responded, so that's probably not going to happen. So we might as well just have to fix that one. But we're going to lay this aside for a minute because we need to use it. Let's take out some hay first, and then we'll take the loader apart and see what we can do. It's just not the thing that I wanted to be doing, but you don't have choice, you know? Life comes at you hard. So, sure. And I need this tractor because there's potentially things that are going to be showing up that having 2 loader tractors is a necessity to unload. was absolutely no fun, I'll tell you that. I like being on a tractor and all, but when stuff don't work, she ain't no fun. When you put it down all the way to the ground, it goes back to the orientation that it's supposed to be. But I'm just looking at all the, what have I got to have to get this out of here? Well, I remember wedging that in there this winter and saying, sure, that was a mistake. That's got to come out of there. I shouldn't have shut it off. I need to raise it up where I can work on it at eye level. We got to get the bucket off, and then we'll worry about it. Bucket off, and then we'll get the cylinder out of the way, which also needs rebuilt. Hopefully I can get the seals for that. I regret that. Okay, that'll come out. Boy, it's nice to know that those were really doing something. What do we got here? Well, Grandpa hammered a nail over on that one. This is actually at least the second rod, and then it's been broke at least 3 times in my lifetime. Sure, I guess I shut you off by accident. Maybe you shut off because you were too hot. I will never know. Oh, you sad, sad, saddie. I don't know. I don't know what to say. We're missing a bolt here. That didn't help, but that wasn't the contributing factor. That's probably super heavy. So I probably should just take the hydraulic hoses off and set the cylinder to the ground instead of trying to tie it up or something. I mean, I guess I could hang it from here, but is it worth it? I doubt it. I don't know what array of stuff I have here. 13/16, that's probably 7/8. So I'll get a 7/8, that'll get the hoses loose. 3/4. That's probably going to take a socket and something, who knows what. Alright, let's take... I put those hoses on with the idea that someday if you had to take them off for some reason, it would be super easy. Today is that day. There's one. I do remember putting on new fittings instead of just making something that would screw right on the steel line, because I thought if something doesn't come loose, it'd be nice to have another choice instead of twisting off the steel line. I like the factory steel lines. They tuck nicely along the frame of the loader, see? So, there's that. Okay, now there's no flat surface here to lay my stuff on. Can I use a wrench on a wrench to unwrench what was wrenched? Or not? Probably not. Oh, that did work. Okay, that one will probably come loose. Oh, that one's definitely loose. I think the other back one is definitely loose. Really, all I need to do is take this one loose, because take half of it out and then it'll fall. Okay. Shelf. I need a shelf. CA radiator, or C. Alice Chalmers radiator for the wind on that one. Maybe you'd like to see what's happening. I mean, now's the time. I need to see if they make the seal kit for this and just rebuild it. Great. I have 2 days to do this, then it's time to put hay on again, or maybe 3 days. Probably be doing it with something else this next time. Well, that piece survived the trauma, and it's not too bad a shape, really. Oh, is that going to be cute? And it won't come out of there but one way. That's awesome. Yep. Should we just... I guess we wouldn't have had to take those loose. But I'm sure we'll get there eventually. Maybe we should just take it. Let's take it all apart. Let's take it all apart and start over. I don't know what we're in for, but the answer is sadness. Because we're working with stuff they don't make anymore on a setup that probably wasn't the best design to begin with. The good news is I was able to find all the pieces for it. So we've at least got something to work with. Now, what I should do is get the impact, because otherwise, how am I going to get that loose? That's actually wedged on there very solidly. So, in case it's not clear, in case this isn't clear, this is supposed to be clocked differently. And then these holes, there was a couple plates mounted, welded to the tube, and they bolted here. And then it's got like wedges at an angle that drew up tight on it. These were your bucket stops. So when your bucket reached all the way down, it would hit the back of this, so it didn't go too far and break the cylinder. And then, yeah, I just totally self-destroyed it though. I'm gonna grab the impact and see if I can just get these bolts loose, because they're gonna have to come loose eventually. So we might as well just do it now, you know? That would make sense. Well, that's cool when you hit the dirt for no reason, but sure. See if we can get these loose. We'll need them for a pattern, probably, for our length. Actually, that bolt's probably reusable, but come on. Well, that's fine. Well, that is super tight on there. All right, you're starting that trick where you get too hot, so you shut off. But I kept on. I started V'ing out some cracks. It's essentially cracked all the way around, but in different ways. So I think what I'm gonna do is try to weld this top part here, because the tractor is a good holder up at a nice working level. Then I'll take the loader off, and then I'll flip it upside down. I'll do the upside down part, and then I'll have to work on those plates. And that's gonna be a trick to get the right angle, but I think the solution is this one. See, the other thing is we don't know that these aren't distorted after the trauma they endured. But I think this one with that other piece fits in there. So I think that gives me pretty well my angle where it was at. It would have been like that. And then the other one is going to be, you know, parallel to that. I do have to take note. I could probably weld this one on with it up here too, or at least tack weld it maybe. And then we'll stand it on end or whatever we have to do to get that just right. But it's gonna be that's gonna be a lot of work. I mean, look at all those pieces. This one needs welded on, that one needs welded on, that one needs welded on. These two need welded back together. The tube is in bad shape, but it's going to be easier to just fix this than to try to cut it out and replace it. That would be too much. So I mean, I guess if I was worried about it, I could slide a smaller one inside and reinforce it, you know, but I don't know that that's necessary either. I think that if I weld it up good, it'll probably be just as good as it was new. I mean, the nice thing is it's relaxed here. It's not like it's sprung way out of whack and I got to try to heat and bend and get everything to fall in its happy place. It's pretty well in its happy place now, so I'm okay with that, you know. I think it'll be fine, and it looks, just looking at it, it looks good. It doesn't look like it's way out of whack. I don't have a straight edge here, but I believe that it is probably pretty straight. I mean, set that on there. I don't think it's out much, if it is, and it's enough to live with. So we'll get going on this. I have to leave now though for bus time, so I won't get to start, but I think that the tube is going to be the least of my worries. The hardest thing is going to be to weld that back together, because cast, it's going to take several days and going slow in order to get that done. Nickel rods, you can do it. It's a slow process. But I need to get started on it so it's not sitting around here, because I use this every day. So unless somebody knows where there's a C16801 cast piece that I could buy, that would be handy, because I wouldn't mind having another one, because, you know, an unbroken one for a while would be nice. And then really, even if that's not perfect, it's made in such a way that it'll still work even if it's broken. It's just the only reason it didn't work now is that the dang mounting plates sheared off. And some of that stuff was probably on the verge of breaking anyway, if not already cracked, because you can see that it's not all a fresh break. So it's probably been working that way for years, and then it finally let go. But when you tighten those clamps down on it, that thing squeezes on the tube and it's not going anywhere. So it's not like that cast piece with the crack is going to be the deal breaker. It should work. It should work fine. So I just got to get to welding and just plug away at it. But it's cracked in so many different weird ways that it's going to take me a while. Buddy the dog, he's in rare form. He's so excited to see me for some reason. Very happy, Buddy the dog. But we'll get down here and I'll show you the progress I've made on this welding. It was a sad story, but it took me a long time, but I'm getting closer. I'm looking around also to see if the bovines still live here. I don't see, there they are. How much hay have you got left? You should be able to make it till tomorrow. Good deal. All right, pardon my mess, I'm a slob. I think I showed you this, but I pretty well got the top side of this tube welded up everywhere. It was cracked every different direction. And yeah, I got everything I can do up here. I got the box welded back on. I think I showed you that. I got it ground off in the places that it has to be because something else fits over it. We'll take this off, flip it upside down. I'll do the other welding and probably weld this from the inside as well to make that better. This old cast chunk of sadness, my friends. This took forever and it's not beautiful yet. It needs a few touch-up places. Cast iron welding is something else. And an old timer always told me you gotta go slow. Weld a little bit one day and walk away. And it works. But I got both sides of this welded up. And the reason you gotta do it slow, if you don't preheat it good, it'll crack when it cools. And you don't want rapid cooling is what I'm saying. You want it to cool slowly. Now, the back side of this is pretty well perfect. I mean, as far as not cracked anywhere except this very edge. There's that spot you can see with all those holes. I don't know what happened there, but so I need to redo that a little bit, grind it out. Also on the inside, I'll have to grind it more smooth because I don't think it'll fit over that tube if I don't. The thing about this piece, it's so oddly shaped that certain parts of it, it would suck the heat out of it almost instantly, and then it would want to crack. Some of these raised areas would really hold the heat, and I don't know. So I started in the middle, and that really helped, you know, working along. I see this to me looks like a crack, but sometimes you can grind in and it's not really cracked all the way through. But I would like to make this better than it is. I would like to give it some more welding, like another layer. I don't know if that's really necessary or not, but I'm not as concerned with the appearance. I know you can see this side, but I want as much meat as possible. Because on this side, I have to grind it more smooth so that it fits. And then I don't know what I'm gonna do, because it'll probably bust instantly, because those draw bolts are going to pull down and clamp it to that tube, but I'm afraid when these pull down, they're just gonna pull that out of there and make it bust. I don't know. I'm very I'm distraught over what to do with this. I'm thinking about making a strap and going over there, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just full send it, and if it busts, I'll try it again. But I don't know. I'd like to give it a little more there. I'd like to grind into that and give it some more there. This area could use a little more. And then right there, I'm not happy with that. But patience. Patience is the name of the game with cast iron. So I guess dealer's choice here. What I need to do now is back this up, take this off, and flip it over so I can get all that done. Would be better if this little C Alice Chalmers wasn't right here in my teeth. Might have to shove it backwards. Be handy if it would run, but I cut all the wiring off of it, you know? So, yeah, I think once I get that done, there's another pin coming out. Sure. But I think once I get that done, you know, that shouldn't take too long to do. Steel, you can move pretty quick. I have 4 hours in that cast piece, at least. So, that's going to take a little longer. But I'm saying that I could have it back operational in another day. And then I'll just wait on rebuilding cylinders till maybe when I'm not using it all the time. I hate for it to just be sitting apart for weeks. I'd like to put it back together, even if it's not, you know, cylinders aren't rebuilt. Try to order the stuff, and then one day we'll take it off and rebuild cylinders when I got the parts in my hand. So, I don't know. But that's where I'm at. All right, not my best work, but it's coming along. What I'm gonna do, I think, is try to flip it different ways. You get a better weld than trying to do it vertically, at least I do. So I'll tip it up on its side, and then I'll weld the seam in here and here, and I'll flip it the other way and weld the other two seams. And then I'll try to figure something out about tilting it back that direction to get a little bit more downward angle on that front side. And then I think it'll be ready to put back on the tractor and destroy it again, you know? So that's what I'm gonna do. No need to keep filming the same thing over. I don't think you can really film welding without ruining the camera, or you probably won't get anything out of it. It'll just be a bright flash. So I will flip it different ways and make that happen. Well, I've been working on this for a good while, and it's getting too dark. I think I got it ready to go on the tractor. I just need to do some more grinding. And it's a shame because some of those were kind of pretty welds, but I can't have anything sticking up where it's going to put pressure in one spot of that cast piece, or it'll bust it instantly for sure. It'll probably still bust instantly, but hey, at least we tried. I need to grind that off more smooth so that it fits down there. And then another thing I thought of before I squeeze it this away, like bolt to these plates, I need to make sure if there's slop in that piece, I'm gonna just have to make a spacer plate, because if I would try to draw that together, that'll get it for sure, I'm sure. I don't know, just a very sad design with cast iron, and the lighting isn't good enough now that I'm ready to call it finished. So I'm just gonna wait till tomorrow, and then I can finish grinding and touch up any areas that I think need more welding. But I think I got everything welded back that was in bad shape, or actually physically cracked. It was busted all the way around, and then it was busted several offshoots. But I think we're gonna have something when we're done. We just need to plug away and make that happen. All right, you almost can't tell that there was a terrible mistake made. It's all back together there, pretty smoothed out. Painted it a little so it wouldn't rust. This sad sack of cast iron, yeah, like I said, I left it thick. I didn't grind down the extra weld on top. That's probably about 2 layers of weld, so it looks kind of globby, but that's just the way it is. That nickel rod attracts itself to cast iron. You can see when you're welding how it pulls it in. So I'm confident it's all the way welded, but will it hold up to the stress that's put on it? I don't know. I threw it on the ground a few times and it didn't bust, so who knows. But we'll let that dry and start putting this back together and see what we got. I think it's probably just getting some new hardware would be a nice thing for it. I need to get some more pins too, because I remember losing one this winter, and I don't know, now I can't find half of the ones I need. So I'll go to town with those, get some of these new. Those would probably clean up, but you know, let's just give it some love. We'll need 4 of those, and then we'll also need, which I don't have, I guess, maybe there's one on the ground still or something, but I need the bolts that are going to hold it this away. And I did set that cast iron piece on there, and I was correct. It's not going to be perfectly flat anymore, so I'm going to have to, I would think, put some shims or something behind the one side. It can stand the flex of a little bit, but it can't go a 1/4 inch. If I try to pull that cast a 1/4 inch, it'll pop that loose. So I want it fairly tight when it sits on there, and then I will, you know what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. In theory, it should work, but what I'm worried about is because of the way this is broke, when I draw those clamps up tight on the tube, that's why I want the spacers in there, because that'll help with that too. It won't roll this outer edge under too much and rip that immediately apart, because I think that it could probably stand a lot of abuse with the way that it's made if it's put on there correctly. But if you could actually break it with the bolts, I think it might stand more abuse from outside forces than from the bolts themselves if you got out of hand. So I don't know, that's about as good as I can do. So it'll either work or it won't, but it's a lot better than having it hanging in pieces. So I will run to town real quick and gather some hardware that I need, and by then this should be dry enough that I can come back and slap her together and see what happens. But it's yeah, I mean, I got it done quicker than I thought I would, you know. I might be able to use it to put out hay, and it's, you know, 3 days later, so I didn't think I'd get it quite that fast, but hopefully it will work. All right, are we ready to embrace the failure? We have to be, because either we got to get this going or we got to get the other loader tractor, because it's bovine time, you know. Town was another failure. I don't know why I'm surprised, because every time I go to town I'm disappointed, but they didn't have exactly what I was wanting. And I also got to thinking about another thing here. You see how much slop I got in this, you know, and I said I need to put some spacers behind there to regulate that. I'm almost wondering if that wasn't designed that way so that you could pitch it slightly differently to make the bucket tilt differently and make the stops hit this. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but what I'm saying is, if I put the stuff in one side and then I decide that it's not what I want, maybe I should have put it in the other side. I don't know. Maybe I should just split the difference and put some in each side. You'll see. We'll come up with something. All we can do is ruin our lives, you know? And if that's the worst that can happen, why? Is it really that bad? I think I will split the difference though. I think I will load it up with water. And then I will tighten up these bolts. I want all the bolts in their holes first, kind of snug. Not really snug, but drawn up where there's not a lot of slop. And then we will go for the final tightening. And that's about the only way I can talk myself into that maybe we won't destroy this cast piece right away, because I don't know, friends. I mean, it's solid, and like I said, I threw it on the ground a bunch to test its durability, but this will be dealing with much different forces than what it would be if I just sit here and bang on it with another thing, wrench or something, you know. And we're not in the right spot yet. It's gonna have to be about right there. I should probably bring you along so you can see what's happening, but I don't have enough hands. Now apparently when I thought to myself I'm gonna bring a bunch of stuff along, I didn't do that. I forgot to get washers. So hopefully I got some, and if I don't, then we got a problem. Ooh, that would work good if I wasn't so stupid. I made a boo-boo, friends. I didn't bring any washers along. However, I might have just, well, no, that's going to be too much if I do that. All right, so what I got in my brain here is I want to put, I mean, I could do that, but then see how much of an angle that's at. I think I really want to like split the difference and jam some stuff up in there. But I didn't bring any washers, dum-dum. So we're gonna see what we come up with. First thing we're gonna do is cry, because our life, you know, our life. I'm gonna try these longer ones. Let's see what that looks like. Is that enough? That would be adequate. What would the short one look like in there? That would probably do it too. But I'd prefer the long one in there just to be sure. I brought different lengths of bolts along. And I guess now what I'm going to do is dig through my machinery bushings here and try to find some that will take up the space. I don't have enough of the right size, but you know, maybe if I put, it's gonna be a trick. Yeah, it's gonna be a trick. Okay, I really should probably get a screwdriver, or instead of that I could just struggle. Struggling is always a choice. I like what I'm seeing there, but what I don't like, hold still. Hold still. There. I like that much more better. And then I'll put this on the back, and then a nut. All right, I think I've got the winning formula figured out. I just have to make it happen. So here's where it will either work or it will fail. I'm gonna tighten. I've got everything shimmed up where I think it'll be fine, but I need to now tighten these clamp bolts. And I need to try to go somewhat evenly, lest there be a problem. And then I need to tighten the sideways bolt. And when we hear the tink of sadness, that's when we know that life let us down. I really didn't want to use the impact, but everything, nope, it's starting to go. It's starting to crack. Boys, I'm tempted to try to weld it now where it is. I think the center is solid, but I think it has started right there to crack a little, and maybe right here. I can't tell if that's paint or an actual crack. The ends are both solid. The middle is solid. Everything's tight, but I don't know. I had thoughts of welding this with it tightened down on here, but I had to have it in some kind of shape, you know. I don't know if a guy would grind a little of that and give it just a little bit, or if I would make it worse. I just don't know what the right thing to do is. Right now it's holding, but after banging on it a while, I'd say you never know what'll happen. That is definitely a slight crack, but I don't see it anywhere in here, which means it will travel probably and do that. But I knew that was going to happen. I mean, there's just no, I don't know. I think I'm just going to roll with it. When it does self-destructs, I'll just redo it, I guess. I don't know. All right, I either made it better or made it a lot worse. We'll find out in time. But one thing's for sure, it can't be worse than when it was hanging down in sadness. So we're just gonna roll with it. I'm operating under the assumption that it probably was cracked partway before, because there was obviously something wrong with this piece, and then it was one of those things where you just never got around to looking at it and figuring out what it was until it got totally sad. Also, as previously discussed, we will rebuild this cylinder, but I'm first going to make sure that I can get the parts and have them in my hand. Hopefully they can still get them. If not, when this summer, when we're not using it much, then we will. Uh-oh, that wasn't good. We need a better lock washer than that. What I'm saying is this summer, when we're not using it every day, then that will be the time to take apart and rebuild cylinders. Let's try that again. A little sloppy in there, isn't she? She's been around a little bit, fellers. She's got about 60, 70 years on us. So she's seen things. I don't really know where we want to be here. I know when it's probably about right there. I should put the bucket on and then tighten it up probably. Or we could just keep doing the wrong thing. Yeah, see, right now it swivels till it doesn't. I think we need to revisit that once the bucket's on. I'm not going to tighten it up all the way right now. That way I know where my hose has to be and it's not putting too much pressure on it. I got some pins because I lost one, and maybe more than that. I lost one I know about, and I think I know where it's at. And then I realized yesterday that a second one was gone. So I went and got some more of these. And I also got some for the bucket, because those pins were missing and sadness. They were cotter pins that were not correct. Sure, we'll see the 1.2 seconds those last. Gotta pick up all our trash off of here. Now we have to hook back up the hydraulic hoses. And some dummy parked right in a mud hole. Uh-oh. This isn't good either. Net wrap wrapping around. That sucks. I hate it when that happens. That stupid net wrap. Net wrap is awful. Okay, come on. There's one. There two. How did we have these routed? I think we went under here. And I don't remember which one was where. We'll know in a minute. Guaranteed that's probably backwards, but I don't know what else to say. Cylinder, why isn't it sucking it in? Oh, no. Now, believe it or not, I've had trouble with that before. Shoots the coupler out the back. Yeah, of course, not square, but that's okay. This bucket's light enough, you can manhandle it a little. right, we're back like it was. However, it's not contacting those stops. And I can't remember what the adjustment is to make that happen. So it might also have something to do with the fact that that rod's been broken off and welded. Maybe somebody made that rod for him and it's not exactly the right length. That could also be, but I thought that I know it's supposed to contact those stops. As in, this hits this when it's all the way up. And that could be part of our problem. It's going to be putting all the stress on the cylinder rod. I could take my bushings out and reconfigure and tilt it up a little, but it's still not going to be enough to make that touch. Because I'm only off, like my shims would only take out that much, and that's not going to translate to a whole bunch. I need to read up in the operator's book, which I have because he bought it new, and I dug it out the other day and looked at it, but there must be some adjustment for that or something. I don't know what it would be. It's hard to say anymore because the rod's been replaced different. This bucket's been totally rebuilt. I mean, this is all, the top edge might be the same, but you can see where it's had patch weld up. The whole floor is different. Maybe it's not that one that touches it. Maybe it's that. Okay, dum-dum, we're okay. I think it's fine when it's like that. It's the bottom one that needs to touch the stop. Let's start it again and dump it and see what happens. Wow. Yeah, that hits the stop. I guess that's what it needs to do, more than worry about the upside. It just needs to do that, because if it didn't hit those, it could potentially rip that all apart. I'm sure we'll have that happen one day and we'll learn about that. Yeah, I need to add hydraulic oil to it. I got too much air in it now. That's why it's acting goofy, because yeah, that hose pulled out of the back and sprayed a bunch of oil out. But it was low anyway from the other day. So, but I think we're gonna call this a win for now. We'll see how long my welding job holds up on that cast. That makes me very nervous, but what are you gonna do? I can't find another one. I put out the word on the Deere face space and nobody has replied. So I guess they all scrapped their 37 loaders. It's a shame, you know, there's one growed up in the weeds that's got a perfect piece. But yeah, I mean, I'm doing what I gotta do to make it go. So we're gonna call this a win. Poor thing needs a bath bad. It's gotten really muddy this winter. And now I got to cut that string off of there too. That'll be a fun time. Also probably need to take that out and then get it in the press and bend that back straight, because that's the thing that caused this whole issue. That point hooked the ground and made a sadness happen. But I'm happy with the way the repair turned out. I mean, it looks nice. It looks like it's gonna work. In theory, will it work? I don't know. Time will tell. This is under so much stress in ways that you don't realize when it, you know, depending on what job you're doing. Like, I'll find out if it's really good when I push dirt with it or something and move rock, or I don't know, other jobs that it's done in the past. That's when we'll know whether it's really up for the task. Just lifting things in general, it shouldn't hurt anything. You know, the cylinder's taking a blunt of the force. The bucket pins are carrying the weight, and then all that's do is stabilizing it. So even if this piece breaks like before, it's not gonna totally flip out of whack. It's gonna it's gonna probably hang on somewhere. The last time it melted down really bad because it sheared off all of the things that it was mounted to, and that's what caused our issue. But I think now, if we just watch and make sure everything stays tight, we're gonna be fine. That's one of those things that's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Till you have to fix it, you don't realize how important it is to make sure that everything's the way it needs to be. But now that I've just went through that ordeal, I will always look at that when I walk by, because it will always catch my eye, and I will always know that if something's loose, we're going to tighten it today, because we need all the support we can get now that our piece is not the greatest. It needs everything. Yeah, so I'm going to call this one here. I don't know if we got anything out of it or not, but hopefully you got some entertainment value. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.